Hello, people. It's your boy Osman back again with another Manchester United podcast, episode 96. Getting very close to the 100 mark. We are joined by the homie, the one and only Nigerian's finest. We got Benji in the building. Benji, what you saying, my brother?
I'm good, man. Good to obviously get back on one of these. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, it's an absolute pleasure. There's a lot to discuss. We're going to be going through the transfer rumours. Of course, Martial has left. We're going to go through Van Der Beek, Lingard, to get your questions regarding anything you want us to discuss. And, of course, we will be looking at that fantastic victory against West Ham.
United.
Yes, people. We've got a lot to discuss, as I just said, prior to the intro itself. As always, make sure you slap a like and get your comments in down below. If you're joining us live, please do get your questions in for myself and Benji. We'll try our best to go through as much as possible. And also, if you're watching this on repeat, get your comments in. I always reply to all the comments, of course, as we go along. Nevertheless, you're probably wondering what the hell is going on, man. Your account's been suspended on Twitter. I've been trying to tweet you. Nothing's happening. Long story short, my account got suspended about a week ago. Made a new one, and that's been suspended as well. So at the moment, Twitter is just all over the place. So if you want to get me, follow me on Instagram, which is Usman Talks United, and also follow me on TikTok, which is where you can find me at the moment. This little art here below my beautiful face isn't working, so by all means you can search it, but nothing's going to come up. Obviously, myself and Benji, we're not on Twitter at the moment, basically. I mean, Benji is, but he ain't going to reply to you. So just a quick legit, but you never do, literally. But yeah, just a quick update. I know there's not many of you that are coming from Twitter, but in general, if there is anyone that's wondering where the hell are you gone, I've kind of disappeared off the face of the earth over the last week or so because I've not been uploading and I've not been posting on my Twitter. So yeah, that's just an explanation for that. My Twitter currently doesn't exist. We're in the process of sorting that out, so just bear with me. But anyways, enough waffling. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the transfer talk. As we know, Martial has already gone to Sevilla. But before we discuss Martial, I want to talk about two of the people that have been heavily linked with a move away from Manchester United. First and foremost, Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard is linked to Newcastle United. Just quickly shouting at the boys in the chat. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for the support, as always. Benji, what are your thoughts? Lingard to Newcastle. Apparently, it's a fee of $6 million on loan. We know he's going to either leave in January or leave in summer. What have you made of the Lingard situation? Is it now a time that we just cut ties with him in January, or now that Martial's gone, do you think we need to keep him until the end of the season?
I think there's a lot of players that need to leave. Lingard, one of them. One of the things that always happens, especially at clubs of this size, is that there's players that stay longer than they're supposed to stay. Jesse Lingard has never been a consistent performer. He's had purple patches, had good runs. Obviously, there's not really a Man United fan that doesn't like him because he's from the club, the celebrations and whatnot, and obviously the FA Cup final goal. But at the same time, I think it's time for him to move on because if he's on 120 grand a week, if we sign another contract, it's going to go up. The only annoying thing is that we should have sold him in the summer, and we could have got like 25 million for him, and now he's going to go on a free. So that's the board have cocked it up again, but he needs to go for me, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, I hear what you're saying in terms of he's a fan favourite in a sense. I think everyone likes him because of his personality, realistically speaking. Maybe not so much what he's done on the pitch, but look, for me personally, I agree with you. He definitely needs to go. I mean, I was someone that has somewhat sang his praises. I thought like one of the few people that have stuck up for him, really. But for me personally, he's wasting his career, to be quite frank honest with you. At the end of the day, he smashed at West Ham. Just go and play football, go enjoy yourself. You might be able to play yourself in contention for the World Cup. And at the end of the day, he's not going to get that opportunity at Manchester United. But on the flip side, Benji, do you think there is a potential case that we could do with him until summer? Because as I mentioned, Martial is gone. Like, is there a potential void that you can fill, or are you just like, just get rid of him now? I don't care who he goes to. I don't care if it's West Ham, Newcastle, whatever. Are you just at that point now, just cut ties completely, so to speak?
Yeah, no, because if you look at the way, like, obviously Ralf is trying to play with the 4-3-3 with a Lingard coming in. Hopefully, if Diallo can stay, yeah, hopefully if Diallo can stay as well. Where is he gonna play? He's not gonna play centre mid, and obviously he's not gonna pace on
Yeah,
the wing. So I don't really see him in that team. Even if we do change to a 4-2-3-1, he's not gonna get over Sancho or Rashford on the flanks, and obviously Bruno Fernandes is there as well.
yeah,
Um, I just think we just need to just trust in the young players as well.
yeah.
Mesbury could also come through. That's one of the things I do like about Ralph. He is actually trying some of the youngsters. And I just feel like with Lingard, as a Man United team, one of the problems is that a lot of our players are not consistent. And this is what we scream at time and time again because Lingard has the potential to get a goal every 3 games, but he's just not consistent with it.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at him, he's 28, 29, I don't know how old he is, he has to go. Like, he just can't be there for too long.
Yeah, no, I do hear you, man. In terms of like what you mentioned earlier with the purple patches, I think purple patches and Lingard go hand in hand, really. That's the thing with him. He gives you that bit of hope in it as a player because when he's good, he's absolutely phenomenal, as we saw his time at West Ham and then just in general at Man United as well. For me personally, the only thing is, right, the only bit of, not hope, but in front of him at the moment, we've got Sancho, Greenwood, who are both right wingers. I think we'd all agree with that. I mean, Greenwood's obviously a striker, but he's playing right wing. And then on the left, we've got Rashford and Elanga. And again, Elanga's, without a shadow of a doubt, deserved his opportunity. And he's taken his opportunity so far from what I've seen. But I just feel like Lingard potentially where Elanga is playing. I just don't know where the consistency with Elanga is going to be, if that makes sense. And Rashford at the moment, he's not really filling me with much confidence in the sense that he's gonna carry himself in the sense that in the way he has done in previous seasons. Don't get me wrong, 2 goals in 2 games could be the catalyst for him to obviously sort his season out. But I just feel like with that extra playing Lingard there, if we don't necessarily need to get rid of him, I'd personally keep him until summer. I know that's not going to be a popular opinion. Literally the only reason is, let's just say, God forbid, but let's just say if a Rashford gets injured, yeah, Benji. I know he's not. I know he's not covering himself in glory, but hypothetically, let's just say Rafa gets injured. That means we literally only got Sancho, Greenwood, and Elanga. That's it. Like, do you know what I mean? Let's just say again, touch wood. There we go. Touch wood. God forbid if Rashford was to get injured, or let's just say even the Sancho, or whatever. Then we just got Sancho, Greenwood, and Elanga. That sounds really thin to me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because then it's like, I mean, Elanga, you can't even count him as a player because everything he does for me is a bonus. And I know that might sound like a cop-out comment because if he's starting, there's expectation on him, as it always is at Man United. But I can't expect anything from a 19-year-old week in, week out. That's not fair on him, is it, realistically speaking, especially when he's bursting into the team, so to speak. So I've got absolutely no expectation on Elanga, so I'm almost discounting him as a player because no one
But you also
expects
have to
him.
remember there's also Sancho as well. So
Yeah, exactly. He's not on
that's why I
form
was
as well.
selling.
But this is the thing, like, with Sancho, he's not found his feet at all. I mean, yeah, then you got Sancho, Greenwood, and then Elanga on the bench if Rashford's injured. That's all you got. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
the Martial we'll get onto that shortly, but the selling Martial and Lingard in the same window, for me, massively weakens us. Whether they're going to feature or not, it doesn't matter because they're on the bench. And you gotta look at it from a perspective of the opposition team. Are you going to be scared if Martial's on the bench and Lingard's on the bench, or if it's just Elanga? Like, psychologically, whether them two are doing well or not, it does have an impact on the opposition team because 60 minutes on Martial could come on and change the game. Lingard, because I'm not saying there will be, I'm not saying they would change the game, but I just think for me we don't need to get rid of Lingard. By all means, if he was desperate to go to Newcastle, then let him go. I wouldn't hold him back. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I just think from our perspective, to get rid of 2 of them and put that much pressure on Elanga and Co, I just think it's a lot, especially when Sancho's not doing well, Rashford's not doing well. Then that means Greenwood and Elanga starting week in, week out. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it's a lot, isn't it? Like, especially with Champions League games as well. Lingard's got. I just think Lingard. For me, I just think Lingard will do well in Ralph's system because he's a high pressing player. I mean, he's high energy, etc. His movement off the ball is fantastic. If Ralph was to handpick a player, Lingard would probably be in the conversation because he's perfect for the system because he'll do all the dog work, like similar to what Lingard does, but he's got the experience and obviously he's got the know-how of the Premier League and he's got the ability to score goals as well. As we said, purple patch merchant, fair enough. But if Lingard's on song, the guy could be the difference. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, for me personally, it's just one of them. But listen, moving away from Jesse Lingard, obviously, let's just get some thoughts in. I think Bas is mentioning some stuff. I reckon Newcastle maybe building something with a huge investment. It could be important for the Sevilla. Look, absolutely, it could be very integral for them. I'm just trying to play, obviously, the other side of the fence. A lot of our players would benefit from being away from Old Trafford. Limelight, absolutely. Way too much pressure expected. I mean, that goes without saying. And Man United have killed more careers than they made post-Fergie. I don't think we've made any careers, to be honest. But from what I can recall, I'm sure we'll get to that shortly as well. But speaking of killing careers, leads me on absolutely nicely, unintentionally. Donnie Van Der Beek. So again, there has been reports in the last 48 hours. Some reports basically saying that Crystal Palace have come in for him. Man United have blocked the move, and then today I saw Fabrizio Romano tweet, although that was factual, the previous day Man United had blocked the move. It seems that Man United potentially might reconsider. So I think it was Valencia and Crystal Palace. It was a Spanish team. I think it was Valencia or Villarreal. I can't remember. But either way, what are your thoughts on Donnie Van Der Beek? The situation as a whole, I suppose we will probably spoken about it to death. But in terms of the transfer, do you think that would be something Man United should be looking at? It's a loan, by the way. Sorry, I guess I didn't mention it.
Well, yeah, of course, we go way back. I remember when you gave me the privilege to do the transfer shows, and I think I got someone from the Ajax community to come on and talk about how Donny van de Beek can play in the 10, the 8, the 6, and we had like a good, very, very long talk about it.
Yeah.
And obviously, we used to argue that, Donny van de Beek can play in the 2-8s. I was even saying, sell Pogba and put Van de Beek in the team. I don't understand the situation. Personally, for me, one of the reasons about Manchester United was really frustrating me is that we don't rotate the team enough.
Yeah.
We don't know what happens in training. If you and the thing is with managers, they're not real, like how it is in basketball and other sports. So I prefer you come out and say, okay, Van de Beek cannot play in this league because he's too slim, or Van de Beek can't play because of this, because of that. But at the same time, I don't buy it because if you look at Bernardo Silva and co, they're ripping up the league and they're even smaller than him. I feel like he needs to play more, and I feel like he will add a bit more fluidity to our team, because what normally happens is when you have Fred and McTominay, they're not able to pass forward and do what a Van de Beek can do, get the goals, get the assists, high press as well. And I don't understand. I think if you just let him go to the Crystal Palace. I think if he goes to Crystal Palace, he plays with Gallagher in a 4-3-3, gets a bit of confidence, gets his game up. It can serve us well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Donny is, right, I think you kind of were spot on to the sense that, in terms of his play style, obviously, like you alluded back to that video that you recorded a few years ago, just prior to his arrival. If you look at his play style again, it's just an absolute myth that he's not physical enough to play in the English league, and I think that gets banded around a lot. When players come from foreign leagues and other leagues in Europe, and people say, "Oh well, they can't cover it in England." Like, England's the epitome of top quality football. I mean, it's a very physical league. Don't get me wrong, but technical ballers have come to the league and completely ripped it a new one. David Silva, Bernardo Silva, I just to name a few. I'm trying to think of a couple of the top of my head, but I can't think of it wrong. But like Jorginho, for example, even he's come. He's not the most physical player as well. He's done his thing. And there's loads of examples down the years of players, welcome salam, bro, hopefully doing well, Shahid. So for me, personally, this notion that he can't play because of his physicality is an absolute joke, to be honest. I mean, not to bring back the Watford game, but it's the only real reference that we can have, because that was his only real opportunity he's had in a while, really. Played 45 minutes. Granted, we lost 4-1, especially in the second half, got battered. But Donny van de Beek in that second half, Benji, I don't know what you think, but for me, this is not even cap. I think that's the best midfield performance we've seen by anyone in our team this season from those positions. I know.
Which game are you talking about?
The Watford, the 45-minute cameo in the second half.
Oh yeah.
Well. I think McTominay, to be fair to him, has put in some unbelievable performances as well. So I think McTominay might have put one better than him. But McTominay's had about 30 more opportunities than him to do that. So for me, I just don't understand it. Like, I understand from your perspective, saying let him go Palace. He'll play. Of course, he'll play. And to be honest, Palace would be brilliant for him because, Patrick Vieira playing fantastic football. They've got a lot of talented technical ballers. You mentioned Gallagher there, but Alicia, I think you said his name. Ez is there. Mateka, I was quite impressed with him against Liverpool as well. They've got a lot of talent and players in that team, and a lot of them play with the freedom to express themselves. So I think he'll actually do brilliant at Palace. But from my perspective is, if we get rid of Van Der Beek in January in particular, we best get a replacement, because there's no way we can go into the rest of the season with only Matic and McFred available, because Pogba, we know what Pogba's like. He's injured again. So, like, what are your thoughts on that? If, like, you're saying that not get rid of it, but let him alone and play at Palace, but surely you don't trust the board to bring someone in within 5 days to replace him, because we're gonna need someone to come in, like, if he's going the other way.
I think I agree, and obviously what you're saying is 100% it. Because I just feel like to Ralf needs to be more brave in terms of the way he plays with the football. Because you can't be preaching. I said it last time I came, but you can't be preaching that control, all this other stuff. You're not doing it. It's also easy to play McTominay and Fred because it's the same option. But if you have Matic on the base, Matic, and you have Donnie Van Der Beek and Bruno Fernandes, not many teams will really want to play against that, because that's goals, assists, and obviously you have someone that's sitting back. I do feel like he should go out on loan and then give the next manager a fair chance, like how they're doing Martial, a fair chance to actually keep him in the team. Because at the end of the day, we're probably one of the best Man United group chats, the UTU Familia, and obviously we have our arguments every day. But we all do not really want players to leave, because we all love the club, we all love players, we want everyone to do well. So why not let Donny go out on loan, maybe get 5 goals, 5 assists, and come back, and whoever's there, Potts, Ten Hag, they can see what he's actually doing, and actually allow us to actually progress with that player. Because if you saw Martial and Potts comes in and Potts wants Martial out front, then it's just a waste of a January transfer window. I also feel like with January, I also don't want to rush to buy players. But obviously there are a few targets available at Haidara and Kamara, and obviously I don't have that much scouting on them. But I don't want us to rush somebody, then the next manager comes in, they don't want him. We always have to be smart as a club. And I understand everyone's thrown up in arms, but at the same time, we also have to remember that Ralf is not here for the manager, if that makes sense. He's not a manager for next season.
He's
So it's oranges and apples. It's also a lazy cop out from the board, but I also do get it. That's why I'm not, like, normally I'll be the first one to complain, but I'm not complaining this time.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that's why I've not been, me and you were like in on the board within a second. But the reason I haven't is for exactly the reason what you stated right at the end there. At the end of the day, we don't know if the new manager is going to want a Haidara or Kamara. There's no point bringing that personnel in if the new manager is just a Van Der Beek to that player. It's just going to be going around in a very unnecessary cycle. So, but for me, regarding Donny, just before we move on, Shahid, I've seen your comments again regarding Marcel, by the way. We're going to go on to that next. But yeah, regarding Donny, the main reason I won't let him go is I don't want to see him. I mean, we know McFred playing week in, week out. But if Donny goes, and let's just say Matic gets injured, for example, Pogba's not going to be fit. Let's be real. I love Pogba there, but he's probably going to get injured. He's going to see out his contract. There's going to be issues with Pogba. It's the last couple of months in his contract. So I've just got a feeling there's going to be a lot of, not maybe his fault, but I think the fans are going to get on his back the next couple of months because they know he's leaving for free. So I don't think Pogba's going to play much. So I think the only other option would be Donny. And to come back on what you said, Matic, Donny, and Bruno, from what is available, is a no-brainer pick. I'm surprised it's not been utilised. Maybe he'll get utilised in the FA Cup against Middlesbrough, which is a good opportunity for him to experiment. Hopefully, he does take that opportunity and actually doesn't stitch Donny up. I don't know if you remember last time, but he played Donny with Matt in the double pivot. I don't know if you remember. but he basically killed Donnie. I think he was in FA Cup actually as well.
Yeah. The two centre mids.
He just killed Donnie because what is he meant to do with Matt? Has got no. Obviously, Matt is an absolute baller of a player, but his legs are gone. And even when his legs weren't gone, he could never play in that role anyway. So they set Donnie up to fail. Then, if he's judging him based off that, I think that's completely unfair. To be quite honest with you, but to come back to what you said, he's not going, which is the main thing. There's no obligation to buy with the loan, which is very important because a new manager that comes in, if it's a Poch or Ten Hag, I think both of them will like Donny. He suits their kind of style of play. Of course, Ten Hag goes without saying, but Pochettino, I think he'd appreciate someone like Donnie Van Der Beek with his technical ability. So I'm not too worried about him in that sense in summer, but I just want to keep him because we need options, man. That's what I'm about at the moment, especially in midfield, man. We're so thin as it is in middle of the park. So I just don't think it's worth it. I know he'll get to play at Palace and it might benefit him in the long run, but for us in the short term, it might be a bit selfish. But it's similar to what I said with Lingard. If Matic and Fred get injured, yeah, that means we've only got McTominay and Pogba. That's it. Do you know what I mean? And we can't rely on Pogba because he's not going to be fully fit. And on top of that, he's probably going to get booed every other game. So his head's not going to be in the right place as well. Do you know what I mean? Especially with Rayola, he's probably going to say some nonsense comments in a couple of months as well, which is going to completely further unstable his relationship with the fan base. So I just don't want to get rid of him for that reason. But let's just get a couple of people's thoughts on before we move on. Donny and Fred play well together. Hope Martial ties it up. Okay, we're going to go into Martial very shortly, so I will come back to that. I worry keep getting linked to Declan Rice, if I'm in play at best. Well, because the English United get okay, fair enough. Let's just answer that now, actually, before we move on to Martial. What are your thoughts on this? Declan Rice, obviously, our last game was against West Ham. For me, was the best player on the pitch. That's just my opinion. But what have you made of the Declan Rice rumours? Are you happy about the speculation? Of course, this will be in summer. But what are your thoughts? Is Declan Rice a good option for United?
He's young, he's English, but I'm not too sure about his ball playing ability. I think he can be a bit better. I think his ball playing ability can be better. He also adds a bit of height and obviously a bit of legs in the midfield. But I think there's better CDMs out there. But he can play single pivot. But I feel like there's better CDMs out there personally.
Yeah,
it depends how patient we are.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the patience, you mentioned it earlier as well, obviously when you were talking about Kamara and Hadara. I think that's one thing I have noticed so far. I don't know if you've noticed this as well. We haven't been taken for mugs. With the Martial thing, a lot, in the past, like even prior to Ralf's arrival, I don't know if he's had any influence on this, but, initial, I don't know if you saw Sevilla's initial offer was may not have to pay 50% of his wages. Hence why the deal was off, basically, because we rejected that, which is something we wouldn't have rejected in the past. Like, look at the Sanchez scenario. We literally paid, like, stupid amount of wages, half of his wages, if not more, for Inter Milan to have him for, like, the season. And since Ralf's come in, I'm hoping this is because of Ralf. We said no, we rejected that. And they've come back a week later and obviously thought, shit, we need to get Martial in. We're on a title charge, etc. And they've come and said, look, we'll pay the full wages. So hopefully the same thing happens with Jesse Lingard if he does go, and other players that come in and go. But coming back to Declan Rice, I'm a massive fan of Declan Rice. Obviously, you know that from the WhatsApp group. I have been a fan of his. I do understand your point regarding his ability to dictate play, because he doesn't necessarily do that at West Ham. When I say dictate play, I'm talking to Michael Carrick, not Paul Scholes. Talking about his ability to control the tempo and those kind of different passes. I'm not really sure if I've seen enough of him doing that, if that makes sense. Like, they're kind of playing quick transition West Ham, which might be good for us actually. But again, it comes down to the manager. Just at the end of the day, we need to bring in Declan Rice if it suits a new manager's style. We don't want to be buying players for the sake of him. I'm sick and tired of that. Buying players that suit somebody's style. I think that's very key for me moving forward now. But yeah, let's just quickly move away. Glad he's gone for his own good. I'm assuming that's regarding myself. We've got a few people commenting on Rice saying he'll unstart the dressing room. I mean, for the price that they're quoting, I'd expect him to be the finished article, not like Lukaku, but actually deliver now and not in a couple of months' time. So yeah, Declan Rice, he needs to come in and hit the ground running if he is to come to United. But moving on to the title of the video. So obviously keep getting your comments in. Obviously, try to keep him related to the topic. Therefore, we'll obviously interact with him more. Just very quickly, United should missed a comment out there. United should spend 100 million on Tielemans and Neves. What are your thoughts on that, Benji? Just quickly.
100 million is a lot, but those two would really improve our midfield. Young, legs, passing ability. Obviously, we'll talk about Tielemans in the group chat the other day about the box-to-box getting the goals.
Was it you saying that you take Tielemans, or was this one else?
Yeah, I said I'll take him because you said that he's gonna be cheap, quite cheap.
Yes, you're right. I did actually. Yeah, he's available for very cheap actually, because he's only got 12 months on his contract when it comes summer. So I don't think we need to spend that much money on him to bring him in. But yeah, 100 million for them two is way too much, which is a bit of a cop-out comment because I'm sat here saying get Declan Rice when they're quoting about 80 to 100 million for one player. But yeah, as you mentioned, Tielemans' contract is running out, so we can definitely get him on a cheaper price. And Neves, to be fair to him, I have had my doubts about Neves, but every time I see him play, granted it's mainly against us, but every time I see him play, the guy impresses me, man. Like, every single time. I'm not seeing him drop a bad game. Again, I don't watch every single game Bulls play week in, week out, but just from the games I've seen him, the guy's been quality, man. And he would be a massive upgrade on what we've currently got, which, again, it goes without saying, I'm sure a lot of players in the league. Someone said Tielemans or Basuma and Neves, so basically Neves and Basuma or Tielemans. Okay, fair enough. I mean, there's definitely options out there, obviously. Hold tight, the Monday Martial FC remains forever, which is definitely good segue into the Martial conversation. Obviously, that is Ty. Shout out to you, my brother. Yeah, listen, let's get into it. Obviously, the title says Martial has left. We've obviously discussed Lingard and Van Der Beek. Please continue to get your thoughts in regarding Martial. We will discuss Rashford as well, because I'm assuming someone will link that to Martial. What are your initial thoughts, Benji? What are your initial thoughts? How are you feeling regarding Martial? Is low, no obligation to buy, just a low move to Sevilla until the end of the season.
You know, there's not been a player that I've been more so disappointed in the last 5 years than Anthony Martial. Because we all know the bags of potential, best dribbler at the club, probably one of our best finishers, apart from Greenwood at the club, especially with that finish inside, and he bends in the bottom corner. I feel like he can do so much more. But at the same time, obviously, you do bring up a good point. Obviously, he's had like a stunted growth as well with Mourinho and whatnot. But to also learn about, he needs to play. Like, a lot of these guys, they need to play. If you don't play football, you don't improve. If you don't improve, you can't get better. If you don't get better, then you just become stagnant. And you're just there, like, and you become bitter. And that's how the leaks come into the training ground, etc., etc. I just think for myself, Martial, I just think it's the end, like, especially at Manchester United, I don't think he really has a future. Because if you go out and sign a big striker, where's he going to play? He's not going to play the left because Rashford's got the left. He's not going to play the right because that's home for Sancho. So what else can he really do? It baffles me.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of his ability, I think that goes without saying. I think that's a unanimous opinion from the United fan base that he's got technical ability in abundance. I don't think anyone's ever denied that. It more comes down to the consistency and application. Obviously, I don't want to get into the nuts and crannies just yet of why it's not worked out for him necessarily. We'll do that very shortly when we rate his overall United career. But just regarding the move itself, firstly, look, for me personally, I've got to be honest, you know this anyways, but my initial feeling was just sad. That was my initial feeling. Look, I've been a Martial fanboy, as we know, for a long, long time. I mean, the last season, and in particular the last 18 months, maybe, I have started to become very critical of Martial. I think that comes back to what you said with, I know he's got so much potential, and I've always believed in his potential, maybe more than I should have. But at the same time, from what I saw from a young player burst into scene, I genuinely have seen his ceiling a lot higher than I've seen at United. And that comes down to the bigger picture. Again, we'll come back to that very shortly. But yeah, regarding the move, I think it's a blessing personally. I've tweeted it out, although my Twitter account could get suspended, so you won't have seen it. But I think it's a blessing in disguise. And the reason I say that is because as it currently stands, whether you like Ronaldo or not, he's going to start week in, week out, okay? So Martial's real opportunity to play is on the left. Obviously, Rashford is currently struggling, so he has got a slither of hope to get in there, but Langer's come from nowhere, and he's really stating a claim for that position. There's a fair bit of competition, which basically means he's not going to get enough minutes. He's going to be a cameo here and there. He'll feature here and there, but that's not what he wants. He wants to be playing week in, week out. And I actually have to say I've got to respect him a lot because he took a pay cut to actually go and play football. And you've got to put respect on players' name that do that, because at the end of the day, he could have stayed or he could have demanded a higher wage that made it difficult. It seemed like the transition from the speculation of him going to Sevilla to actually being confirmed was very quick. So it seemed like he really wanted to get out. And I think we knew that as well as fans. So regarding the loan itself, I think it's a blessing because I think he's going to go get a fresh environment, similar to what Lingard did when he initially went to West Ham. And hopefully he hits the ground running. He's going to get opportunity to play more frequently, whether it's week in, week out or not. It's going to be considerably higher at Sevilla than it would be at Man United. So for me, I see it as a win-win. We either get a Martial that completely tears it up, comes back with a new hunger and desire to, stay at sort of first team place, or he wants to leave, or maybe Sevilla or maybe another team, and he increases his price tag. So either way, I think it's okay. I think it's a good move. I was a bit upset because I wanted him to stay, obviously. But I think it's a good move for him and the club because at the end of the day, when he comes back, there's going to be a new manager, Benji. So do you think that is something like that could play into the hands of Martin? Do you think there is any chance of him revitalizing the United career, or do you think this is it? Does the end? The last time we saw him against West Ham was his last performance in the United kit.
Yeah, of course, football is never. You can never say never. At the end of the day, the new manager is the one that has to decide. Then when he decides, then we go from there. It's not up to us. It's always about the new manager. Yeah. And when the new manager comes in, obviously there will be like favourites from before, like Pogba, Varane, and co. But everyone starts off from a level playing field.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, everyone literally starts off from a level playing field. So it's kind of up to you as a player to then force yourself to play well. And it's up to you. And then at the end of the day, it's however you go for it, you go for it. And you have to run for it, you have to fight for it. Like everyone's different, but some players, when a new manager comes in, look at Dallo, he's thriving.
Yeah,
Tellez, thriving. Varane looks a bit of a better player. When different players come in,
or different managers come in. To be fair.
Yeah, when different managers come in, it helps you.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I know that. At the end of the day, look, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to reassess it in summer. But yeah, as you mentioned, look, it's up to Marcel. At the end of the day, if he wants to stay, he might have an opportunity to do so. If not, then it is what it is. It's going to be sad, but the club moves on, man. I mean, we lost Van Nistelrooy, and that broke my heart. So I think I'll manage. But anyways, yeah, just regarding the match, I think obviously wish him all the best at Sevilla. Hopefully, he smashes it and leads him to the title. That would be unbelievable. But listen, let's move on from Martial. Let's talk about our last game against West Ham. Of course, we did beat West Ham courtesy of a very late Marcus Rashford winner, which now places Manchester United in the top 4. Benji, what did you make of the game? Like, obviously, we don't need to go into too much detail, but, what did you make of the game? Is there anything that you took away from that in particular?
That Man United still lives. The Man United way still lives. Shout out, Wash. Yes. There's also the possibility that the 4-2-4 could work when we go 1-0 down. But I think all in all, it just shows we have resiliency and the togetherness in the squad to really come back and get that goal in the late minutes. But obviously, my only problem, my only issue is just the way we played. The way we played football was not. It's just about results. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a results-driven business. We need the results. We need to get the top 4. I don't really care how we play. Like that for me, like, look at the group chat, the voice notes, everyone was buzzing. Like, I'm sure the stadium was buzzing. It's about the results for me. So as long as we keep getting results, we keep working hard, everything's possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, mathematically, of course, we're in the top 4 race, but top 4 race aside, I'm just happy with the fact that we're building a bit of momentum, because obviously the Aston Villa performance, in particular in the last 20 minutes from Ralf and the players, was disheartening. At that point, it felt like the season was crumbling. I mean, we've had many moments like that this season where we thought, oh, well, just scrap the season. And that was definitely another one of them. I'm sure you would agree with that. Like, it just felt like, oh, what is the point of it? And then we got a great win against Brentford. Okay, we rode our luck in the first half. And then obviously we got a great win against West Ham in terms of the manner in which it happened. As you said, it shows the togetherness and the celebrations, absolute limbs, the passion from Cavani, Scott, Rashford, etc., etc. It's just good to see, man. It's every football fan's, dreaming it in that sense. Last minute winner against, when it's an important game as well. But in terms of Ralf, just before we move on to the individual players, obviously you kind of alluded to the performances not being up to scratch there. What do you put that down to? Did you put that down to the players not executing the plan? Is it Ralf? Is the way style of play that, or is it a combination of both? Or where do you sit on the whole style of play? I know you said you don't care, and I hear you because I'm probably at the same place now. But what do you put it down to? Do you think the players are just not capable of following out these instructions?
I think it's a bit of both. Of course, I feel like they don't have the way to play football and the way, obviously, to play football, to move the ball at a tempo, to play sharp, precise passing. But I also do feel like Ralf has to also put players in there that can actually do the job, like your Van Der Beeks and co. But at the same time, I just feel like, look, a lot of the players, they're not brave on the ball. You have to be brave. You have to move the ball fast. You have to press. You have to win the ball back. And obviously, the pressure is quite good. We win the ball back quite quickly, to be fair. But it's just about being precise in the final third and relaxing with the ball and, taking your chance when it comes.
Yeah, no, I think for me, my general consensus or general thoughts of that game was, I thought we played well. Not like fantastic or nothing like that, but I thought we played well up until the final third, and I think that's been a running theme throughout the entirety of the season, really. But the difference is with Ralf in the last two games, I suppose the Brentford one don't count, but the game against West Ham in particular, we had a lot of control in that game. Probably the most control we've had in a long time. What we lack cutting edge. It kind of reminded me of. Do you remember prior to when Bruno arrived and we had Andres Pereira and Fred, and obviously Fred's still there, but like we was relying on Pereira and Fred in particular to be our creative force with Mata on the right wing, and it just kind of reminded me of that. Like we looked like we were out of ideas, if that makes sense. Like we didn't know how to break them down, basically. Obviously, of course, he sent on the reinforcement, Martial and Cavani, huge impact. The final 7 to 8 minutes. And at the end of the day, the quality shone through, which was good for us. But for me, that's the thing that's missing. Like, it's like, I think it's Pogba, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I think Pogba, okay, granted, people will say he's got his deficiencies defensively. We all know the script now because it's been happening for God knows how many years. But I think Pogba's quality from deep is something that we're missing a lot. Fred has shown in the last couple of weeks that he has got the capabilities of picking a pass out, but overall he hasn't got nowhere near enough consistency at delivering that pass. It's not once in a blue moon, to the extent that everybody's surprised that he's actually executed that pass, including the manager who doesn't even celebrate because he's like, what is going off? So yeah, for me personally, I was happy with the performance. I was really, really happy with the way we pressed them and harried them in the first half. That I thought the intensity was so high. Like, I've not seen us play with that intensity for a long time. And we looked like we wanted it, which is important. Even Maguire had a good game, which says a lot. But in terms of this question from West, he's asking, do you think Ralf knows his best 11? What are your thoughts on that?
He's asking what, sorry?
I just put it on the screen. Do you think Ralf has his best 11 or ideal 11?
I think he has his best 8. That's De Gea in goal, right back Dallo, left back Tellez, centre half Maguire and Varane. McTominay, Fred, Bruno at the moment. Obviously, Pogba will probably come in. Then he has Ronaldo, Rashford, and then Lingard. Looks like that's the team he's going with at the moment. Hopefully, Sancho can come into that as well. But I think that's the team he's going with.
Yeah, what have you made of Sancho? Obviously, we're just going to go through some of the individual players. So, if anyone's got any question regarding any individual players you want to talk about, this is your opportunity to basically put that question in the chat. You just mentioned Sancho there. What have you made of Sancho? Because he's kind of had a very turbulent season, being his first season as well. But what have you made of him so
far? Not much really. There shouldn't be any pressure on him. I think one of the things that people don't realise is that obviously he still is young and he's a big money buy. If he went to Man City, he would have just been that Jack Grealish winning
Yeah.
every game, getting the confidence. Now he's having to be pressurized because he's like the big guy who has to come and save us.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very good point actually that you've said there. No, with the Grealish thing, like the biggest difference is like Grealish has been a flop. Like let's be real. I mean, you can say Sanchez as well, but the difference is Grealish has obviously been in the Premier League for longer, so he understands the league. Grealish has gone to a team that's absolutely flying in Man City, and he's flopped, similar to Sancho to an extent. But the main difference is because his team are winning, it kind of covers up to the deficiencies of an individual player, if that makes sense. Like if
Yep.
you're winning and your team's still playing well, it's not as highlighted as much. But the issue is Sancho isn't playing well, neither is the team, and we're struggling on the pitch. So these things get highlighted a lot. But I hear what you're saying in terms of like the people should not, there shouldn't be too much pressure on him. But of course, that is going to come to the price tag and the expectations of what he's done at Dortmund for the last couple of years. I mean, he's like literally top creator in the whole of Europe as a winger. So there was a lot of expectation, me included as well. Expected more from him. But I know he's a baller, man. I know he's going to come good. I know a lot of people say, Osman, you're just saying that on because of, what you've seen at Dortmund, etc. And yeah, that is the reason I'm saying it. I know he's a talented player and his time will come good. Similar to how other players go through peaks and troughs. Sancho is struggling to adjust at the moment. But once Manchester United as a front line start to click as a unit, we'll start to see the likes of Sancho, the Rashfords start to improve because they'll start to benefit. Because overall the team is playing better. At the moment, I don't know what you think. I can only count a couple of games on one hand that we've actually had a good game this season. Like we've actually played well. I've watched the game and I thought, what? We played well today. I've enjoyed that. Like there's been like 2 games, like Leeds maybe, and someone else that we just beat in the cup or some shit. One of the like Champions League games. So for me, that's been one of the bigger issues. But speaking of wide players, you mentioned them earlier. Fullbacks, a lot has been spoken about Tellers and Delo. I just want to get your thoughts firstly on Delo actually. We'll get to Tellers very shortly because I know we've got different opinions there. But yeah, what have you made of Delo? Because for me personally, statistically, he's not got anything stats, but is that something that concerns you? Or, what are your thoughts with his performances so far?
Nah, it doesn't concern me at all. You know me already. I don't like the show. So getting these fullbacks that actually want to try and attack, and obviously if they're not, they're a bit still with their crosses. But at the end of the day, if you give them the chance to play more often, they'll get better. Dalot, the reason why I like Dalot is he can attack and he can at least a little bit defend. His defend is not as bad as everyone makes it out to be.
His defending is
It's
improved,
obviously
I
not as
think.
good as Wan-Bissaka's, but
Yeah.
it's obviously not as good as Wan-Bissaka's, but it's improved. Tellez as well gets up and down a bit more, and he's not going to be as injury prone as Luke Shaw. And once again, Luke Shaw's injured. My issue with Luke Shaw is that he gets 150 grand a week or whatever he gets. He's always injured every single week. Yeah. So it's like, what? You can't rely on such players. That's why we had to play Ashley Young centre back at left back for like a year or two, because Luke Shaw's never fit. And lo and behold, once again, he's never fit. So we need to get rid of those people that are just always not fit anyway. But yeah, I think the 2 fullbacks, they actually do help us have a better dimension. And I would love to see Delo and Sancho play together and Rashford and Tellez.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet, hasn't it?
Not yet.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how, obviously we mentioned Sancho very briefly there. I'm intrigued to see how Sancho plays with Delo. As you quite rightly said, Delo, statistically it hasn't somewhat delivered if people just bury it on stats. But if you actually look at the game, Delo's offered us so much going forward in terms of his first and foremost, his control that he's given us, the width that he's given us, and his first intention or his first thought is how can I move the ball forward. So for me, I think he's been a breath of fresh air. Regarding Tellez, I do understand with Luke Shaw because for me personally, his mentality stinks. I think it's quite apparent that his mentality is probably lacking. I mean, Jose Mourinho said it a long time ago, and it seems like it's coming up again as a constant issue. But injuries aside, Tellez for me has been disappointing. I think he's been good as well. I think he's had good games, but his crossing from wide areas is really frustrating me now, because there's been numerous occasions, in particular in the West Ham game, where he had ample time to get a decent ball into the box, and he's hitting the first man so many times. Like, we've got Cristiano Ronaldo in there and Edison Cavani, two of the best players in the air in Europe. Like, they're in the top 5, probably both of them are. And they've not even had the opportunity to challenge for a header because the delivery is that bad. Like, give them a chance. The last time Ronaldo scored from a header was from a Luke Shaw cross in the Champions League, which was near the end of the game. So for me, I just think Shaw's delivery from wide areas is far superior than Tellez's. Defensively, they're both somewhat similar to an extent. And also Shaw's more of a ball carrier. Tellez isn't really a ball carrying left back, which for me personally, I prefer a ball carrying player in that position because it obviously gets you up the pitch. And it's just got the capabilities of taking people out of the game, opens the game up more, so to speak, especially in this modern day. So for me, I would still prefer Luke Shaw, but Delors, for me, without a shadow of a doubt, I would keep him in the team. But listen, just before we wrap it, I just want to quickly go through a couple of the comments. Obviously, I know a lot of people are talking about Ethan Laird. Ethan Laird's at Swansea looking very bright. I think Ethan Laird could be the future at Man United, so I'm keeping an eye on him. Brandon Williams at right back. Benji, what are your thoughts?
No.
I knew you were saying that's what passed at you. Just straight to the point there. Should United try to get Tolisso on loan from Bayern?
No.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, I wouldn't go for Tolisso either. There's a reason why Bayern are loaning him out. Should United sign Max Aarons if
No.
relegated? No, as well.
No, I don't really see the hype. And obviously there's Ethan Laird and Dallo. I don't really see having how much I'm getting Lamptey, so not him.
Yeah, I mean, I would have said Lamptey. If I was to pick someone, I'd pick Lamptey from this league. But I do actually think Ethan Laird deserves an opportunity. I think there's something in there in terms of a player. Of course, he's done it at a lower league, but from what I've seen, I really like, similar to what I said with Delors, I really like that his first thought is how I can beat my man, how I can, carve up an attacking opportunity for my team. So I really do like him. Should United sack? Oh, Ramsey. I didn't know who that was for a second, but I've just clocked who it was. The thingy coach, set piece coach. What do you reckon about
that? Nah, I don't really know much about the coaches, but at the same time, with the set pieces, there's not only people that can score headers in our club.
Nah,
so it does actually.
Is, man.
Nah, I don't really see, like, for example, if you look at the team that played last week,
Varane, Ronaldo, yeah, who are playing week in, week out.
Nah, I just don't see them like. It's not like how back in the day, like, I just don't see them as like proper goal scorer. I don't. Varane wasn't even like a proper centre back goal scorer anyway.
I know he almost scored against West Ham. To be fair, probably should have actually. No, I don't agree actually. I mean, I wouldn't sack him firstly just to get that in, but I think the issue isn't the set piece coaches. The issue is Bruno Fernandes and Tellez and whoever else is taking the bloody corners. Like, absolutely embarrassing. They can't beat the first man time and time again. I mean, Maguire's a shit defender, don't get me wrong, but he's good in the air. That's something that goes without saying. I mean, his head's massive. You know, he's got to make some use of it. So, but in terms of the delivery, bro, I remember against West Ham in particular, man, Bruno Fernandes hit the first man about 4 times in a row, and no one said to him, yo, get off this corner, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know we've had, like, Phil Jones take Marcus Rashford, etc., but, bro, Bruno Fernandes is our worst corner taker, without a doubt, man. He's just actually pissing me off because he can't beat the first man. He never beats the first man, and it's just become a meme at this point. Like 120 set pieces or whatever it is, and no goal. Like, we barely even win a header, let alone scoring the goal. Like, we don't even compete for the ball. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's just absolute pointless. But just before we go, obviously we will do more shows as the weeks go on with the international break. Just want to get your thoughts on the season in terms of, you know, it's a nice international break. Do you still think we can get top 4? Like, are you confident? Have you changed your mind regarding the matter? Where do you sit on that?
Of course. Anything's possible. Champions League is also possible. Are we in the FA Cup or we're out?
No, we're in the FA Cup.
FA Cup's also possible. We could get like a fake treble, top 4 Champions League, FA Cup. Anything's possible. It's football. you know, anything's possible. I do feel like there's obviously good teams around there, but Tottenham's not consistent. Chelsea's not consistent. Um, who else is there? West Ham definitely not going to do anything because they're just West Ham.
Yeah,
Um,
Arsenal, the other two.
Arsenal, LOL. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, I don't see other teams as a threat. We can even catch up to Chelsea. I don't see why not.
Yeah, no, I agree with that last comment. This comment here as well by Joe. Given the hype, United have been the most disappointing team in the league. I completely, wholeheartedly agree with the statement. We have, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, Chelsea would be the second team. I think Chelsea had a lot of expectations as well, like in terms of competing for the league, like genuine. Even me as well, when the signing Lukaku, I thought Chelsea would be there. But Chelsea aside, I think Man United would be the most disappointing team for me this season. I mean, Everton as well, but it's just like we've just been absolutely shocking. There's no denying it. There's no excuses. It's all our own doing. It literally is like nobody else has contributed to it. We have been the architects of our own downfall. But listen, we're gonna wrap it there. Obviously, myself and Benji need to dip. Obviously, got all the commitments and whatnot. But listen, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has tuned in. If you're watching this on repeat, please do get your comments in. Of course, do stuff like on the video. As I said right at the start of the show, my socials, the basic are suspended at the moment. So feel free to follow me on TikTok,
Twitter.
What's Talks United, which is where a lot of my daily content is. So please check it out. It's just a bit of fun, really. But yeah, listen, apart from that, thank you as always for support. Shout out to my guy, Benji, obviously my day one. If you know, you guys will know what Benji is. Just before we go, Benji, I'm going to let the pastor say the last couple of words. Is there anything you want to add?
No, just obviously follow us, man. Support. You know, that's what we're here for. At the end of the day, we're all here to do our best, and obviously it's a good channel. I obviously do watch from Ghana as well, so you know I'll have to follow the content somehow.
Yes, you love to see. I appreciate you, Benji, as always. And obviously, if you're not aware, Benji has just been drafted in to take over the bottom Ghanaian national team because they're struggling a bit. So that's
Yeah,
why it's
quick one to Kojo and Jerry. Like, look,
yeah.
I'm coming to take over, man.
Yeah, listen,
I'm
don't
learning
worry,
the
man.
tree. I'm learning the language. Coming to take over the
Listen.
team.
Shout out to all my Ghanaian brothers, man. Don't worry. Benji's on the way to save you, boys, man. Don't worry, you'll be back. But listen, we're going to wrap it there. Thank you, as always, for everyone tuning in. We're back tomorrow before I forget, actually. Back tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Ralf on podcast, myself, Lawless, Jace, Kojo, I believe, and Kale. We're going to be dissecting the weekend results. The West Ham fans' tears are going to be beautiful tomorrow, so trust me, get your popcorn ready. I tell you, listen, crying about the offside, but it is what it is. But listen, it's been your boy, man. Back tomorrow at 8 o'clock.